Welcome back to the Zero to Six Figure series. This is my crypto portfolio that I show you live on YouTube, where you can see what I'm doing in crypto, what I'm buying, what I'm selling, you name it. You can see the portfolio yourself in real time by clicking the link in the description below. And today we're just going to talk about kind of some of the stuff that's happened and where we're going to go next. Now let's jump straight into it. We are currently at a portfolio value of $12,319. This is actually down a fair amount. I have actually invested a little bit more, and you can tell that directly by comparing these two numbers. If you basically take 5,000 of profit over the total portfolio, you can see exactly what I've invested so far, which I believe is around 6,500. I'll try and put it somewhere on screen so you can see exactly how much I've invested so far. Anyway, what happened? Well, first of all, I sold out of my Conic position because I did kind of panic when the rug was happening in real time. I say rug when the exploit was happening in real time, and I ended up selling for 70% loss, which wasn't good, but thankfully it wasn't a large position. However, we did actually lose a bit of USDC as well from everything that's happened, and so that's why you're actually seeing I'm in the negative, because we lost it as part of what happened with the exploit. Anyway, we won't go into too much detail. I have actually got a video covering everything that happened with Conic and how I was affected by it, but you can see the portfolio was slightly affected by it, but thankfully, you know, I have got some more funds to invest, so we will make it back. We'll cover the whole for sure. Anyway, today I just wanted to give you an update with what's going on, what I'm doing, and what I'm planning next, especially because I think that is probably going to be the more interesting thing for you guys. Looking at the portfolio today, we have a lot of USDC, which still accounts for probably around 30% or a third of the portfolio as a whole. And I'm probably going to continue to add to this because I love farming and there's lots of farming opportunities. Watch my farms of the month or have a look at it on Twitter. Stay tuned for it coming out again in a few days as we approach August. But yeah, I'm using my USDC in a variety of different protocols as always. Arbitrum is still one of the larger holdings in the portfolio, and I think potentially we will continue to add to that, and we'll talk about that in a moment. FXS remains the same. Ethereum, we have a decent-ish position. Ultimately, I would like to grow this to multiple ETH in future. We have been using our ETH in lots of different strategies, some particularly more risky ones, especially on Y2K Finance, and we've been able to actually make quite a significant amount with our initial investment. Butterfly remains the same. We're staking it, nothing else to do there. Lyra Finance, I have actually been farming on Optimism, and I have been able to basically reduce my overall costs somewhat over time. We're hopefully going to continue to accumulate as much Lyra as possible over time. Chainlink I'm finally in the green on, and we did hear some news regarding CCIP earlier this week, which I think was great. It's only a small position anyway. And Matic is the latest token in the portfolio, which I am currently farming on Uniswap. And the yields are pretty good there, hence why I'm doing so. And so hopefully we should be able to see this increase fairly nicely over the months as I potentially continue to add some Matic as well to the portfolio. And then lastly, we have a Y2K, again, a small position. We're currently down massively on it, but you know, this is a $2 million market cap, so what do you expect? So in terms of what am I doing, I think first of all I'm doing a lot of different airdrop farming stuff, not only just kind of using certain other chains like ZK Sync for example, but also using a variety of other protocols. I talked about some of them in this video, so go and check that out, which is one of the more recent videos. Four protocols I'm currently airdrop farming, and I will have a part 2 for this probably next week or the week after, so please subscribe to the channel, have your notification bell icon on, so that you are the first to go and see that when it comes out. But I'll have a few more really interesting protocols that not many people are talking about at the moment, but I think potentially are worth farming for a potential airdrop, and so I'll have that one for you guys next week or the week after. So we're doing that at the moment, and what I wanted to really talk to you guys today about was what am I going to do going forward. And I think there's a few narratives going forward that I'm particularly interested in. One of them is revolving around Optimism. Now, Optimism is something I don't have in my portfolio, but I'm a frequent user of the Optimism network as well as the Arbitrum network. I think both of these chains have shown that they have real caliber. They have attracted big protocols. They're growing in TVL, and I think they're only going to continue to grow. Now, one thing that we have seen is with Optimism is that they have what's called the OP stack, and basically anyone can go and use the OP stack and spin up their own layer 2 chain. And we've seen lots of announcements recently with Coinbase creating their own chain called Base using the OP stack. Binance also launching Optimism BNB or OP BNB. We've got the Ribbon team working on their own chain, WorldCoin as well, and lots more. Now, I think all of this is only going to be bullish for Optimism, and whilst I don't think the usage of people going on Coinbase's layer 2 base and kind of doing transactions there, I don't think there's going to be any link directly, but I think indirectly with the sequence of fees that Optimism will make from people using the base chain, they'll ultimately have more money for grants, and I think generally the Optimism ecosystem is only going to grow, and therefore I think there's a chance that the Optimism token goes up in value. Secondly, I think there's a really big catalyst coming towards the end of the year, and that's EIP 4844, which introduces, I think Charles here has actually talked about it briefly, which introduces proto-dank sharding and will really help to reduce layer 2 gas fees by a factor of 10. I think they've written here 100x. I'm not sure it's 100x. I think it's more like 10x. But I still think that is really bullish, especially when it comes to bringing the next 100 million people on chain. Now I think people, especially with lower amounts of capital, really do care about gas fees, and they do generally add up over time. So I think something like this is only going to be more beneficial. Now the question is having 10 times lower or 100 times lower gas fees going to compensate in terms of total fees via the sequencer? Hopefully, we'd like to think so. It's a matter of time. But either way, I think EIP 4844 is bullish, and I think the sheer number of chains building with the OP stack is also bullish, and I would like to capitalize on that. And the question is really, how can you do that? Well, one of the things that I'm doing already is I'm farming on Velodrome, but the question is that really enough? Am I really capturing myself or exposing myself enough to the potential Optimism ecosystem? For those of you who don't know, Velodrome, I believe, is the largest app on Optimism by total value locked. It is a DEX. You can go check it out yourself. I've included it many times in Farms of the Month. So let's have a look at the Optimism token. Which is currently trading at $1.62. It actually went up quite a fair amount today, fair play. But you can see that generally we've been, in the last 1 month, I believe we're about 30% up from more than that actually from the bottom, from this kind of $1.20 mark. Now at basically over the last 3 months, we're still pretty down from where we were before. I think one of the concerns that I have with Optimism is this: the fully diluted valuation being 7 billion and the market cap only being 1 billion. Why is that? Well, because there's so much supply coming out every single day, and there's lots of unlocks coming. So the question is really what do you value Optimism to be worth? Do you think it's worth above 10 billion, 20 billion? Do you think it deserves to be in the top 10, or even the top 5, where you're talking 25 billion plus? Or does it deserve to be where it is right now at that 7 billion FDV? Now, I'm not sure exactly when the unlocks finish. I believe it must be a few years away. But, do you think that Optimism should be, in the top 20, fighting with the likes of Stellar, Uniswap, Avalanche, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Polkadot, etc.? The real competition being, the Polygon, Arbitrum, the other layer 2s as well. Potentially even Solana, I guess, but I think the competition there is less so. It's a really interesting question that I'm basically pondering at the moment, and I haven't actually found the answer to the question just yet. So it's something I'm thinking about. Do I go for Optimism? Do I go for an indirect exposure via the ecosystem, perhaps Velodrome or some of the other assets that are there, or do I just kind of watch and wait for the time being? It's interesting. I haven't found the answer just yet, but you'll find out when I do, because I'll update my portfolio accordingly, and you'll probably see a video about it. But at the moment, I haven't allocated myself with any Optimism, but it is just something I am thinking about. thankfully, I do have exposure to layer 2s via Arbitrum, and I think they will also benefit from the EIP upgrade coming later this year. And I think that's why I have a fair amount there and potentially will be adding to it as well. So that's pretty much the update. We're at $12,300. I really just want to get past 12,000. I feel like we've been at 12,000 for like episodes and episodes, and I think we would have actually been there had I not got rugged. But it is what it is. I didn't actually get rugged. I sold my assets at a loss. It's part of what comes with being in DeFi anyway. So that's pretty much the update. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you've got any questions, let me know, and we'll be back with another portfolio update soon. Let's get past $12,000.